Norma in Montgomery, Alabama. Hey, Norma, what's on your mind today?
But anyway, the reason I called is that I've told you through the years that I do what I call walking and talking. And I stop people wherever I can and get them to stand still long enough to listen to me. I'm starting to get back some of the stuff that I have been preaching for years, which has shocked me. I'm running into people when I ask them, do you know about this or do you know about that? And they're going, yeah, we heard. But I think that right now, everybody needs to be talking about reading the summary of 2025. We also need to call the White House and get people to ask Biden to please bring up 2025. Do we need to lose the Department of Education? That's school lunches, WIC program, a little money for Meals on Wheels, a little money for the food bank. Can we all start feeding the poor? And if you lose the Department of Education and there's no federal funding for schools, then which is more important, math and science or football? Who's going to pay for what? Yeah. And so people aren't thinking far enough.
Well, you know what
Tommy
Tuberville would say.
Yeah, well, have you seen the sign that our other Senator Katie Britt has been holding up? Women don't need college. No. This is a video.
Oh, geez.
Women don't need college. They need faith, Bible, and a Bible and a family. So do you want a situation where girls are not allowed to go to school? Yeah, really? Do we want ignorant women raising children? The more education a mom has, the better her children do. And this is just, people need to pay attention. And like I said, everybody needs to be out there doing my walking and talking. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but if you don't teach your fellow citizens, your neighbors, your family members, you don't mention that creature that used to be president who is now a convicted felon. What you want to do is talk about your rights. Do you want to lose the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and you can't have women can't have a checking account or buy a car in their name or buy a house in their name? How will this affect our culture? Are they going to put a man in charge of every woman in the country so that make sure that she obeys God and man? This is a culture thing, like you said, a culture war. How far will these people go? They say, oh, well, they won't do that. Well, guess what they did to Roe versus Wade? Guess what they're doing to birth control? And every time you turn around, they're removing people off the voting rolls in Georgia right now, 200,000 of them.
Yep.
And if you here in Alabama, people, if you're listening in Alabama, you can register to vote up until September 30th. So every teenager that turns 18 in the next couple of months needs to register to vote just to protect themselves. And so I don't know how we're going to handle all of this.
If I'm standing at the produce aisle in the supermarket tapping the cantaloupes, and you walk up to me, what do you say? Give us a tutorial here in how to do walking and talking.
Well, I ask people. I don't mean to bother you, but have you heard about such and such? And while you're buying your produce, remember, even though that cantaloupe may say organic, you need to scrub it before you run a knife through it because it's covered in pesticides. And until we get control of the USD, that is your life. But have you heard about such and such? If you're a woman, did you hear Clarence Thomas?
What would such and such be?
Well, did you hear about Clarence Thomas? And him saying that when we was asked about women's rights, that he said there's no mention of women in the Constitution. Do you want to lose your right to vote? This may be the last election you can vote in, and maybe you've never even considered voting for a Democrat. But if you ever want to vote again, this one time in your life, you may need to do that. Because if we don't get the House back, and we lose the Senate, and you have Trump for president, you probably will never vote again because he will declare himself king. And he will appoint his children as princes and princesses, and you will lose your rights in this country because that is his plan. That is the Republican plan. Do you want to be Catholic? I have a Catholic church and school across the highway. I said, do you want to have to get up and go to Mass every morning because we have 6 Catholics on the Supreme Court? What is your religion? Are you agnostic? Are you Muslim? Are you Jewish? Are you Seventh-day Adventist? Or here in Montgomery, we have a Jehovah's Witness temple. do you want to have to give up your religion because we're now going to have a state religion under the Supreme Court, which will probably be Catholic? I said, you need to pay attention to what's going on, and you need to start watching free speech TV. You need to start listening to Thom Hartmann and watch Democracy Now! I said, there's plenty of information out there. And I really wish, Tom, that you had put out just the little clips of JFK or Truman on Facebook so I can share them. I have people who share what I post.
The ones that we've used in our fundraising drives?
Yes. The ones that, in the little segments, while you're getting a chance to get a drink of water.
Right.
But, if every man needs to stop and think about, what are you going to do? Domestic abuse is no longer a crime in Arkansas. How far do you want to go with this? Because a woman doesn't obey her husband as God said to, he can beat the stew out of her? I'm scared,
in
Tom,
Arkansas,
and
that's
I tell
legal
people
now?
that. Yes. It's no longer a crime.
I get it. By the way, there are seven Catholics on the church, or on the Supreme Court. Sotomayor is also Catholic. People say Neil Gorsuch isn't because he doesn't attend the Catholic Church, but he was raised Catholic, and he married a Presbyterian, so he goes to his wife's church, but he has never renounced Catholicism.
He'll vote with the Catholics.
Yeah.
And so
in his heart, he's Catholic. Yeah.
And if they invoke right to work, remember right to work? Sounded great. Everybody voted for it. Well, it eliminates minimum wage. Okay, you lose
and unions.
You lose workman's comp. You lose everything that gives you any right to exist as a normal human being in the United States. This is not just a war on our culture. It's a war on our rights. And it's a war on everybody's rights. And men need to start and think about how much
Norma.
do they want to be responsible for.
There you go. Norma, I got to run. I'm sorry, but that was brilliant. Thank you so much, and thanks for the lesson on how to do walking and talking.